I think a lot of people focus on the addiction side because they don't really know a lot about recovery. And I think in a workplace, when we can promote recovery, which is the accessibility to come out of addiction, change your life, do something really good with it, live the best life that you want to live. And a lot of people think addiction is recovery, and recovery is the journey out of addiction. I've spoken to a lot of employers, and I think when we talk about addiction, instantly the fear hits. How do we talk about this? Oh my gosh, that doesn't happen to my employees. But then on the flip side, when I speak to employees who recognize that they've either had employees who have suffered or have family members or friends that have suffered, or have found out they have an employee that is in recovery that didn't disclose for fear, that's when the conversation changes. I've met a lot of employers and I've all said really similar things to me. I really want to help. I don't know what to say. I'm scared. I'm walking on eggshells. How do I go about this? And there is such a willingness, but stigma stops us from having these conversations. Fear of discrimination, not handling it right. Oh my gosh, how does that fit within the policies, procedures? It stops us from being a good human and just helping people. I speak to many people, and when they get their life back, they become loyal, dedicated, committed. A lot of them really want to just prove themselves and become their best self. And sometimes their best self is being the best employee they can be. I spoke to somebody and she said she didn't disclose that she was in recovery during an interview process. And then about 5 months later, she told her boss, and he said, to be really honest, if I'd have known, I probably wouldn't have hired you. However, how do I now find 50 people just like you? Because you're one of the best employees I've got. People handle recovery differently, and some people choose to stay anonymous. But if we don't put a face and a voice on recovery and positively promote the benefits of recovery, and we spend a lot of time at work, and keeping a secret at work is really hard. And that fills people with shame and guilt. And that's just not conducive for a good way of working or a good way of living. Be open to engaging with recovery community organizations like Recovery Coach Academy. There are so many people doing great work in this space. And I think we have lots of good systems that help people sort of initiate recovery, start that journey. They may get involved in volunteering, but you and I both know that volunteering doesn't pay the bills. A lot of people want to get into a good work environment, build their skills, and, have a really comfortable, successful life and support their families. So by engaging with recovery community organizations, becoming great allies, becoming mentors for recovery community organizations, or just being open to have those conversations with people and offer them employment if they are the right candidate for the job. I'm not saying special treatment. I'm just saying a supportive environment that says, hey, we know if you're struggling, check in with us. And I think that's the difference. Sometimes people don't feel like checking in with a mental health first aid worker, but they would be happy checking in with somebody who was a recovery ally or a recovery coach, or even having a recovery advocate within the organization. But I think it's an opportunity to change. And we talk about mental health, we talk about suicide, we talk about menopause. Let's start talking about recovery, because recovery really is good for business. It's a different skill set, I think, and it's a different resource bank, and it's a different conversation. I am not saying that the two should sit absolutely in silos. I think we need both, and they need to engage together. We know lots of people impacted both directly and indirectly by substance use end up with mental health issues. I can tell you, when I had a loved one that was suffering, the depression, the anxiety, the fear, they were all brewing along with knowing that I was trying to figure out how to find resources, support my loved one, navigate all of those feelings. And so I probably needed both. But the mental health first aider did not have the recovery resources or the understanding of that recovery tone that sits at the back of a conversation sometimes. We talk about staying in your lane. I have a mental health first aider qualification. I also have a recovery coach professional qualification. When I am recovery coaching, that is what I am doing, and I think it's being able to, as a professional, separate the multiple roles that we have. There are mental health first aiders who are also accountants, who might be a fire risk assessor or, any of those. We have multiple roles even within our role within a job. So I just want to encourage people to, maybe recovery coach isn't the right word for an employer to buy into, but I think what there is a recovery advocate, a recovery representative, and you can label it whatever you want, but the tools and the skills and the information that sits behind that can all help employers engage. I think for me, a recovery-friendly workplace is a place that is open to a conversation, so that conversation doesn't become taboo anymore. I think it's also about recognizing, well, we used to have a really big pub culture with workplace. It's diminished a bit since COVID, but often, we get invited to networking events or we host an event. Are there always non-alcoholic options available? Are the environments recovery friendly? There are a lot of people in recovery from gambling, so having a team night out at a casino might not be the best option for them, So I think it's just, for me, it is just about engaging in curious conversations about how we can support people better. Just be kind, It's not always about a policy. And I think within the workplace, often employers think, oh my gosh, somebody addicted to drugs in the workplace. But what I have realized is it's often the moms, the dads, the husbands, the wives, the brothers, the sisters, the friends that are showing up for work that need some support while they love on and support somebody else. So to somebody who has doubts or is unsure or fearful about how this could impact their business, I think the first steps are just engaging in some conversations, getting educated, considering, some of your team becoming allies of recovery and understanding what that is. It is not about a sweeping change across the whole business overnight. This is something that I believe is definitely something that has to be done in co-production. You've got to bring other people in who have different business experience, life experience, even international experience around recovery-friendly workplaces. And what an employer who employs ferry boat captains versus train drivers versus hotel managers versus your local cafe or the local library at the council, all of those recovery-friendly workplaces will look different. So this is, to me, as a conversation to design a framework that is fit for purpose on an individual organizational basis. And that sounds like a lot of hard work, but to me, it's not hard work. It's the heart work. It's doing it with our heart in co-production and co-collaboration over a period of time to get the best outcome, to make recovery accessible, friendly, and to remove some of the shame, the stigma, the fear, the guilt, all of those things that I know happen within the workplace around addiction and recovery. You don't know who is impacted by addiction directly or indirectly in your business. So it could be the person sitting at the desk next to you. And I think if we have an opportunity to make it better for one person each day at each desk or in each role, then it's a worthwhile thing to pursue and just start to get educated about.